In the headlines, the Barbados Water Authority says water levels low, but not yet critical. The newly created Barbados National Energy Company expected to create greater efficiency and accountability in the energy sector. And in sports, CP and St. Leonard's win bragging rights in the Old Scholars Football Final.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news on this Sunday, October 19th. The Barbados Water Authority says water levels across the island are falling short of expectations, but restrictions are not yet warranted. That's hydrologist Jamie Paul's assessment of the current situation. Ms. Paul told a Barbados Water Authority press conference yesterday that reduced rainfall is responsible for the lower levels. She says, as a consequence, conservation is crucial at this time.
Yes, we are in the rainy season, but as you can see, we have not had the amount of rainfall that we would hope to have at this time. And so going into the dry season, because you have to think of it, the rainy season is the time that you hope to fill up your cup, and so that you can then use it in the dry season. So our cup is not being filled as we would like right now. And so when we go into the dry season, we are asking the public to conserve. So the same way you have water stored right now as we would expect, because we are in the hurricane season still, we would ask you to continue to store water and to conserve water even more so going into the dry season.
Ms. Paul says the BWA will continue to monitor water resources closely, and restrictions like those announced back in 2023 could be recommended if necessary.
If it is that we will have to do that, that's something that we on our reviewing on a monthly basis, we send our recommendations to the board and the minister, and they would sit and decide, make that decision, and then that would be said to the public.
The Energy and Business Minister, Senator Lisa Cummins, says the merger of 3 state-owned energy companies in the new Barbados National Energy Company is about modernization, efficiency, and people. She made the remarks as she piloted the Barbados National Energy Company bill in the Senate. Deandra Roberts tells us more.
Energy Minister Lisa Cummins says the creation of the Barbados National Energy Company marks a major step in transforming the island's energy sector into one that is more efficient, accountable, and ready for the future. She said the decision was not one that was rushed, noting that there were consultations.
When in April 1, the BNTCL and the BNOCL were amalgamated and a new company created, there were meetings. We did not come to the unions after the fact to ask them, what do you think about this? We created an amalgamation committee, and we embedded the unions on the amalgamation committee so that they had a seat at the table along the way and not after the fact.
The new company will combine the operations of the Barbados National Oil Company, the National Petroleum Corporation, and the Barbados National Terminal Company, 3 key players in the energy chain. Minister Cummins says the merger supports the national target of achieving 100% renewable energy by 2030 and the move away from fossil fuel.
In principle, we have a 2030 target, but I believe that I have shared in this honorable chamber that in March of this year, the Barbados government adopted under the Ministry of Energy's leadership an energy transition investment plan. We simply looked at the 2019 energy policy. We looked at the sectors. We simulated using econometric analysis and multi-criteria analysis, all the things that the economists and the engineers would have looked at to make a determination as to, one, what would it take for Barbados to transition to 100% renewable energy and to move away from fossil fuels.
She acknowledged that while upfront costs are high, the long-term benefits will be significant.
In that energy transition investment plan, it acknowledged that the upfront cost of capital expenditure for the transition would have a cost associated with it. and that over time, once those costs were recovered, costs would come down, and they could come down. That is the reality of the renewable energy sector. The capex that you have to put in, you have to recover the costs in the first instance, but once you have recovered those costs, then you can expect to see the prices go down.
The Barbados National Energy Company bill was later passed in the Senate. Deanza Roberts, CBC News.
A promise and a commitment to the future is what the Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, the Honourable Doddridge Miller, wants the graduating class of 2025 at the Cayfield campus to give to the region. And even as they officially ended their journey at the university, the graduates were offered a few more lessons at their graduation ceremony last evening. CBC's Akeem Plinkett reports.
The class of 2025 was urged to make use of the opportunities provided to them and step boldly into the future. In his keynote address, Chancellor Doddridge Miller reflected on the journey of West Indians through history, highlighting progress made through their commitment and hard work. He encouraged the graduates to carry that legacy forward, reminding them that they are the architects of Caribbean possibility.
In this new, evolving environment, you are not just graduates, you are builders. You are architects. You are the designers of a Caribbean that refuses to be defined by size, by limitation, or by the outdated assumptions of others. You are a part of the generation that must reset the agenda. You must chart a path to a more enlightened future, one that values cooperation over competition, one that sees diversity not as a challenge but as a strength, one that understands that the Caribbean voice is not a whisper, it is a force.
Also addressing the ceremony was businessman Lyndon Gardner, founder and chairman of Inter-Caribbean Airways, who collected his honorary Doctor of Laws. He shared lessons from his own journey. He said while he had to learn lessons through trial and error, many lessons are now taught in the classroom that allow for fewer mistakes to be made.
Now you sit here with something I never had, the analytical training to understand not just what bridges to build, but why they work and how to make them last. You studied the framework that explained market failures and institutional design. You understand migration patterns, democratic governance, economic integration. You know why some bridges collapse and why others endure. What I learned through trial and error, you've learned through rigorous study. That's not just an advantage, my friends. It is a responsibility.
Valedictorian Shauna Lee Gordon praised her classmates for their dedication, but also challenged them to go further. She said the region is in need of bold, visionary leaders, and it's time for this generation to step up.
We carry an incredible responsibility, whether it's economists and finance professionals among us, working to ensure macroeconomic stability and sustainable growth, the accountants safeguarding financial integrity, or the political scientists shaping policy and governance for the public good. Each of us plays a vital role. Our psychologists and sociologists remind us of the human dimension in every issue, while our social workers, managers, and those in hospitality and tourism demonstrate the importance of service, leadership, and community care. Together, we are equipped to ensure that our collective work contributes meaningfully to the social, economic, and environmental well-being of our region.
This year's graduation theme was Pelicans in an AI-driven future where tradition meets tomorrow. Akeem Plinkett, CBC News.
Congrats to all graduates. We have more news coming up after the break. Stay with us. The Barbados Fire Service is set to fortify its fire prevention and code enforcement program. That's according to Chief Fire Officer Errol Leonard, who says fire prevention is not just a service, it's also a duty. He was speaking at the Chief Fire Officer's Parade and Awards ceremony.
The safest fire is the fire that never starts. And by expanding inspection, code enforcement, and public education, we will save lives before the danger strikes. We endeavor to extend our physical presence also in the eastern and the northern districts. You know, we don't have a fire station in St. Philip, nor in the north in the St. Lucie area, so we will be expanding into those areas. We will not allow geography to dictate safety, every Barbadian, no matter where they live, deserve the same level of protection. And the Barbados Fire Service will ensure that this happens.
The Ministry of Agriculture has partnered with the One Family program to empower some of the island's most vulnerable families. Working under the theme Hand in Hand for Better Foods and a Better Future, the event was hosted by to mark World Poverty Alleviation Day. Rachel Agard has more on that story.
A mandate to empower some of the island's most vulnerable families has seen the Ministry of Agriculture partner with the One Family program to donate grow boxes. This is in an effort to make those families more self-sufficient. Senior Agricultural Officer Brad Taylor says there is no cost attached to the venture. The grow boxes are approximately 10 feet in length and can hold a number of crops. He says they are not simply giving grow boxes, but rather planting the seeds of transformation.
Through this collaboration, helping to fulfill our mandate of providing 100 of the most vulnerable families on the island with the tools and training to better take care of their families. But beyond that, we are empowering them to take ownership of their future, to rely not only on assistance, but on their own hands, their own soil, and their own potential.
Social Development Project Manager with the One Family program, Nicole Daniel, says at the heart of the program is the belief that true empowerment begins when people are equipped with not just temporary assistance. She adds that these grow boxes are small living lessons in independence and pride.
They remind each of our participating families that no matter how small the space, as you said, they can plant something that grows, something that nourishes their bodies and their spirit. When an individual can step outside of their back door and pick fresh lettuce, pick thyme, pick tomatoes or herbs for dinner, that is just a small act. That is an act of empowerment, taking control of one's circumstances.
The One Family program now has 52 grow boxes for families in need. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Sports time, good evening. I'm Damien Best. Well, Courage and Parry and St. Leonard's Upper Fifths have been crowned champions of the 2025 Bragging Rights All Scholars Football over 47s and over 35 competitions respectively. Playing last night at the Lumber Company ground, Courage and Parry defeated Parkinson 8-7 on penalties following a 4-all draw, while St. Leonard's Upper Fifth beat St. Leonard's Keiki Generals 2-0. CBC's Anne-Margaret Boyce reports.
Wet and soggy conditions at Lumber Company, but the show must go on. This is the Bragging Rights 47s final, featuring Courage and Parry and Parkinson wearing the yellow jerseys. The spectators who braved the weather were in for a thriller. The opening goal came here. Cross at the back post. Carry level with a header. Parkinson ahead in the 11th minute. 4 minutes later, Courage and Parry would get a chance to equalize. Referee awards a penalty for the contact. Keeper went the right way and got a hand to it, but Mark Skeet's spot kick from the back of the net, all squared. Courage and Parry took a 2-1 lead, but in a match that took plenty turns, Wayne Dawson produced this. Talk about placement. That's into the top corner, 2-all. It was like a seesaw, up and down, with the lead changing hands again. Parkinson with their noses out front at 4-3. But Courage and Parry found the leveler again. Own goal on this occasion, 4-4, the final score. The match went to penalties and the reins came tumbling down. But Courage and Parry emerged 8-7 winners over Parkinson to be crowned Bragging Rights 2025 champions. Anne-Margaret Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Well, no play was possible on the third and final day of Series 8 in the BCA Elite Division due to rain. But it didn't stop Wildy from continuing to celebrate another title. Wildy inevitably captured the three-day championship on the second day yesterday to complete a double success of major titles. Playing at their new venue, Dash Valley, the 2025 50-over champions reached 128 points shortly before tea after securing a commanding first in his lead against UWI. Their closest rivals, Empire, are second on 105 points, with the 9th and final series set to start October 25th. Well, Barbados Community College thrashed Combermere by 49-point margin when the National Sports Council Under-19 basketball competition got underway recently. CBC's Anna Margaret Boyce has those details.
BCC in orange and black played host to Combermere in this school's basketball clash. Early stages of the match, quick turnover, and Nathaniel Salmon is swift to the bucket. Easy layup. The home team quickly found their rhythm. Micah Duke opts for the close range jumper, and that's good. Nothing but net, 2 of his 8 points. Duke, having registered his first points, was in the mood. Even under pressure, rolls it in. In the first half, Combermere had a few turnovers as well. This one was costly. Fast break for BCC, and Mari Aline makes it count. BCC were in control of the first 2 quarters by a 34 points deficit. Darian Griffith with the pull-up J, sweet like sugar, had a game high, 24 points. BCC led 50-16 at the halftime break. Nastin Calendar gets in on the action. To the second half we go, teams going in opposite directions, but it was more of the same. That's Dante Wharton through the traffic jam with 2 more points for the Erie Eagles. Griffith picked up where he left off and had all the time in the world and space to go to the 3-point line and deliver this bullseye effortlessly as BCC went on to beat Combermere 85-36. And more Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
And that's news. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of the entire team, do enjoy the rest of your evening.